Jack sat in a small room on the starship as it moved through space. The stars outside the window looked cold and far away. He was nervous. He had never left Earth before. Now he was going to Eloria, a planet he only knew from books and news. Reports, the whole trip felt unreal. He had been chosen for a big job. The leaders of Earth wanted peace with Eloria. There had been many small fights between humans and Elorians, but now both sides wanted to try for peace. Jack was chosen to be the first human ambassador on Eloria. He did not know why they chose him. He was not a hero or a famous person. Maybe that was why? Maybe they wanted someone new and honest. As the ship landed, Jack could feel his heart beating fast. A group of Elorians waited for him outside. They looked almost human, but their eyes were a little bigger, and their skin had a soft shine in the light. They smiled at him and welcomed him kindly. Jack felt a little better. He followed them to a big palace made of blue stone and glass. It was full of light and music. That night, there was a great feast. Jack wore a simple suit, but the Elorians wore bright, flowing clothes. The food was strange, but tasted good. People talked and laughed. Jack tried to join in, but he felt a little lost. He missed home. He wondered if he would ever fit in here. Then the music stopped for a moment. Everyone turned as a tall young woman walked into the room. Her hair was long and silver, and her dress seemed to shimmer as she moved. She looked calm and strong. Someone whispered to Jack, "That is Princess Lyra." Princess Lyra came over to Jack and greeted him with a soft voice. Her eyes were deep and bright, like she was seeing more than anyone else. Jack felt a little shy but tried to smile. Lyra asked him about Earth and his life. Jack told her about his family, his school, and how strange everything felt now. Lyra listened to him closely. She seemed different from everyone else at the feast. Jack could not explain why, but she felt honest and kind as the night went on. Jack and Lyra talked more. Lyra showed him some of the palace gardens. The plants glowed softly in the dark. It was peaceful and quiet there. Jack felt safe with her. He told her he was afraid he might make a mistake and ruin everything. Lyra smiled and said, "We all feel afraid sometimes. But you are here for a reason. I believe that." Jack did not know what to say. He felt better, though. He saw that Lyra did not act like a normal princess. She did not look down on people or pretend to be perfect. She just listened and helped when she could. Jack felt that he could trust her. Later, Lyra brought Jack back to the main hall. Some of the other guests looked at him with curious eyes. Jack wondered if they liked humans or if they just wanted to see what he would do. He tried to act brave. He knew he was here for something bigger than himself. When the feast ended, Lyra gave Jack a small gift. It was a round stone that glowed a little in his hand. She said it was a symbol of welcome and friendship. Jack thanked her. He felt a warmth in his heart that he had not felt since he left home. As Jack walked back to his room in the palace, he thought about the day. He was far from Earth, but maybe this was where he was meant to be. He wanted to help bring peace, and now he had a friend in Lyra. He hoped he would get to know her better. He did not know it yet, but this meeting would change both of their lives forever. The sun rose slowly over the palace, filling the sky with pale blue and pink colors. Jack woke up in a new bed, in a room that was much bigger than he was used to. He lay there for a moment, listening to quiet sounds from outside his window. Birds with soft voices sang in the trees. Jack sat up and remembered everything from the night before. He looked at the small glowing stone Lyra had given him. It still shone softly on the table, making him feel less alone. Jack got dressed and went to breakfast in a large hall. There were more Elorians this time. Some looked curious when he came in. Jack smiled and tried to be polite. The food was colorful and light. He tried a little of everything, even though it was strange to him. Soon, Princess Lyra came into the room. She looked friendly and happy to see him. She invited him to sit. With her at a small table by the window, Lyra and Jack talked about simple things first, like favorite foods and animals from their worlds. Then Lyra asked about Earth cities and what life was like there. Jack told her about tall buildings, busy streets, and family dinners. He explained things he missed from home, like old songs and his dog. Lyra listened and shared stories about Eloria. She talked about festivals with dancing lights, gentle animals in the gardens, and how Elorians care for each other. Jack liked hearing her stories. It made him feel close to her and her world. After breakfast, Lyra took Jack on a walk through the palace. They saw rooms full of art and halls with tall windows. Everywhere Jack looked, there were bright colors and strange shapes. They came to a room where old council members sat and talked. The council leader, an older man named Galen, stood up to greet Jack. Galen spoke calmly, but Jack could tell he was testing him. He asked Jack questions about what humans wanted from Eloria. Jack answered carefully. He said humans wanted peace and friendship, not war or control. Some council members nodded. Others looked doubtful. Lyra watched Jack and gave him a small, encouraging smile. There were rumors in the palace. Jack sometimes heard servants whisper as he walked by. Some said the princess was different from others. Some said she had powers or a secret past. Jack did not ask Lyra about these things. He thought it was not polite. Still, he wondered about her. Lyra always acted kind and wise, but Jack could see something behind her eyes. He did not know if it was sadness or something else. Later that day, there was another meeting, this time with more humans and Elorians together. Jack noticed that some of the humans acted proud or impatient. They wanted quick answers and were not always polite to their hosts. Lyra tried to keep everyone calm. She spoke clearly and gently, asking for respect on both sides. Jack liked how she led the meeting. When a small argument started, Jack stood up for Lyra. He said she had been a good friend and that all humans should listen more and judge less. The room became quiet. For a moment, everyone just looked at him. Lyra thanked him with her eyes, and some Elorians seemed to respect Jack a little more. As the days went on, Jack and Lyra spent more time together. They shared stories, played games, and sometimes just walked in silence. Jack felt himself growing more comfortable. He noticed how Lyra helped people in small ways every day. She listened to problems, gave gifts, or just sat with someone who felt sad. The more Jack saw, the more he liked her. One afternoon, Lyra invited Jack to a small garden at the edge of the palace. There, they watched birds and glowing bugs fly in the warm air. Lyra talked about her childhood and how she used to hide in the gardens when she felt lonely. Jack told her he sometimes did the same back on Earth. They both laughed. For the first time, Jack felt like he really belonged in Eloria. He wanted to do his best for Lyra and her people, but not everyone was happy. Jack heard angry voices from a group of Elorians who did not trust humans. They worried about old wars and broken promises. Jack understood their fear, but he wanted to prove them wrong. He promised himself that he would do everything he could to bring peace. Lyra said she believed in him. Jack believed in her too. As the sun set, Jack and Lyra watched the sky together. He knew things would not be easy, but with Lyra by his side, he felt ready to face whatever came next. The days on Eloria passed slowly at first, but soon Jack grew used to life in the palace. Every morning he woke up to soft sunlight and birds singing outside his window. He began to feel more comfortable with the Elorians and their quiet ways. He also looked forward to his time with Lyra. She was always kind to him, and she seemed to understand when he felt lost or alone. One morning, Lyra met Jack in the garden. She looked excited and asked if he would like to see more of Eloria. Jack agreed right away. Lyra led him out of the palace and into the forest beyond the city. The air smelled fresh and sweet, and the trees glowed with soft light. Strange animals watched them from the shadows, but none seemed afraid of Jack. Lyra smiled and told him that the forests were full of old stories and secrets. As they walked, Lyra showed Jack how to find fruit that tasted like honey and water that sparkled with color. She taught him a few words in the Elorian language. Jack tried to remember them, and Lyra laughed when he made mistakes. They talked about their families and dreams. Lyra said she wanted peace for her people, but she also wanted them to be free from fear. Jack told her he wanted to help, but sometimes he did not know what to do. After some time, they came to a quiet clearing. In the middle was a small pond with bright blue water. Lyra sat by the edge and told Jack about an old tradition. She said that Elorian princes and princesses sometimes came here to make big choices. She did not explain what those choices were, but Jack listened closely. He could see that Lyra was serious. She picked up a small stone and dropped it into the pond. The water glowed for a moment and then went still again. Lyra looked at Jack and said she trusted him. She said she wanted him to see the true beauty of Eloria, not just the palace and the city. Jack felt proud. He realized he was seeing a side of Eloria that few humans ever would. Lyra told him that some secrets could not be shared with everyone. She promised that one day she would tell him more, but not yet. Jack agreed to wait. He wanted to show Lyra that he was patient and that he cared. As they walked back to the palace, Lyra told Jack about the first time she had come to the forest. She said she was afraid of the dark when she was little. Her father brought her here and told her stories until she was brave enough to walk alone. Jack said he used to be afraid of storms when he was a boy. They both laughed about their old fears and how they had changed. Back at the palace, the city was busy. People were preparing for a festival that would happen in a few days. There would be music, lights, and games in the streets. Jack was excited. He had never seen an Elorian festival before. Lyra promised to show him the best parts. She said that during the festival, everyone was equal, and even the royal family could walk among the people. That evening, Jack met with some Elorian leaders in the council hall. He tried to share what he had learned about Eloria and its people. He spoke about the kindness he had seen and the beauty of the forests. Some leaders seemed pleased, but others were still unsure about trusting humans. One old woman asked Jack why humans wanted to be friends now, after so many years of fighting. Jack answered honestly. He said that not everyone on Earth wanted peace, but he did. He said that trust had to start somewhere, and he wanted to be the first to try. After the meeting, Lyra found Jack in the garden. She thanked him for his words and for standing up for their friendship. Jack said it was easy to be honest with her. He asked Lyra why some people seemed to fear her. Lyra grew quiet. She looked at the stars and said that sometimes people fear what they do not understand. She promised again that one day she would tell Jack everything. He promised to wait, no matter how long it took. As the night grew dark, Jack and Lyra sat side by side, watching the lights of the city. Jack felt a new hope inside him. He knew things would be hard, but he believed in the promise he saw in Lyra's eyes. He wanted to help her, not just as a diplomat, but as a true friend. He hoped that one day they would both be able to share their secrets and dreams without fear. The days grew busy as the festival in Eloria got closer. Jack helped the palace workers hang bright ribbons and lights. He watched as the whole city prepared with music and dancing in the streets. Lyra wore a simple dress and walked with him every day. For the first time, Jack felt like he was part of Eloria, not just a visitor. He liked how everyone worked together. The children laughed and old people sang old songs. It was peaceful. But deep inside, Jack knew that not everyone was happy about humans being there. One night, the palace was quiet. Jack could not sleep, so he walked outside. The air was cool and stars filled the sky. He saw a group of Elorian guards whispering by the garden gate. Jack could hear a few angry words. He stayed out of sight and listened. The guards spoke about humans, saying they brought trouble and could not be trusted. One guard said they should never have let a human ambassador so close to the princes. Jack felt sad but also angry. He wanted to prove that humans could be trusted, but he saw how hard it would be. The next day, Lyra asked Jack to visit a market in the city with her. The streets were full of people wearing bright clothes. There were stands with food, music, and games. Lyra showed Jack how to play a simple game with rings and small glowing stones. He lost, but they both laughed. Children came running to see the human. Some were shy, but others wanted to hear about Earth. Jack told them funny stories about his home and made them laugh. Lyra smiled at him and said he was making a good start. Suddenly, loud noises came from the edge of the market. People ran in fear, and Jack saw smoke rising. Lyra took his hand and led him through the crowd to safety. They reached a narrow alley and hid for a moment. Jack asked what was happening. Lyra explained that some people were angry about the new alliance. They wanted to scare humans and Elorians who worked together. Jack felt worried for Lyra. He said he would protect her no matter what. As they waited in the shadows, a group of masked Elorians rushed by. Lyra watched them with sad eyes. She told Jack that her family always tried to help everyone, but some people did not want peace. Jack said that he understood. On Earth, there were also people who wanted to fight instead of talk. Lyra squeezed his hand and said she was glad he was there. The trouble in the market passed, but the city was tense for the rest of the day. Guards watched every street corner. The festival was almost cancelled, but Lyra begged her father to let it happen. She said the people needed hope. The king agreed, but he asked Jack and Lyra to stay close to the palace. Jack promised to keep Lyra safe. That night, Jack could not sleep again. He thought about the anger he saw in the city. He worried that he was not doing enough to help. He decided to talk with some Elorian council members. He told them he wanted to understand their fears. Some were surprised that Jack wanted to listen. An old man told him about a time when humans had broken promises before. Jack listened carefully and said he was not like those people. He promised he would do his best for Eloria and for Lyra. The festival started the next morning. Music filled the city and everyone wore ribbons and flowers. Lyra and Jack joined the crowd, laughing and singing. For a little while, everyone forgot their fears. Jack saw Elorians and humans dancing together. He felt proud, but as the sun set, Jack saw a group of angry Elorians moving through the crowd. He heard them shout about keeping humans out. The crowd grew scared and some people started to run. Jack saw Lyra step in front of the angry group. She spoke in a clear, calm voice, telling them that humans could be friends. Jack stood beside her, showing he was not afraid. The crowd listened as Lyra talked about hope and peace. Slowly the anger faded. Some people left, but others stayed and began to dance again. When the festival ended, Lyra thanked Jack for his courage. She said he gave her strength. Jack smiled and said that she gave him hope. As they walked back to the palace, Jack realized how much he cared for Lyra. He wanted to protect her and help her people. He knew hard days were still ahead, but for the first time, he believed that peace was possible. He held the glowing stone Lyra had given him and felt its warmth in his hand. He knew their story was just beginning. Days passed after the festival, and the city of Eloria slowly returned to calm. Jack and Lyra spent more time together, learning from each other. Jack was happy to find a friend in Lyra, someone who understood the challenges both their worlds faced. They shared stories and dreams, and Jack felt his respect for her grow with each passing day. One evening, Lyra invited Jack to a hidden place near the palace. It was a small sanctuary, filled with soft lights and glowing plants. The air was warm and smelled sweet. Jack felt peaceful there, as if the worries of the world were far away. Lyra sat close to him and spoke softly about her family and her duties. She told Jack how hard it was to be a princess, with many eyes watching her every move. Jack listened carefully. He wanted to help her carry the heavy weight of responsibility. Lyra looked at him with trust and said that she felt safe when he was near. Jack smiled and said he felt the same. They talked late into the night, sharing hopes and fears. Jack learned that Lyra was not just a royal figure. She was a person with deep feelings and dreams. As the night grew darker, the two sat quietly. Together, the stars above twinkled softly and the sounds of the sanctuary filled the air. Jack felt a strong connection to Lyra, one that went beyond words. He wanted to tell her how much she meant to him, but was afraid it might change everything. Between them, Lyra suddenly turned to Jack and took his hand gently. She said she had something important to share but was afraid it might scare him. Jack looked into her eyes and told her that he trusted her no matter what. She smiled and promised that one day she would reveal her true self to him. Jack felt his heart beat faster but knew he could wait. The next day, Jack noticed that Lyra seemed tired. She moved slowly and often looked out the windows, lost in thought. When he asked her if she was okay, she only smiled and said she was fine. Jack wanted to believe her but felt there was more she was not saying. A few days later, trouble came again. A group of angry Elorians tried to enter the palace grounds. They shouted and demanded to see the princess. The guards stopped them. but the tension was high. Jack and Lyra stood together, facing the angry crowd. Lyra spoke to them with calm words, asking them to listen and understand. Jack supported her, standing close and ready to help. The crowd slowly quieted, but Jack could see the fear and anger in their eyes. He knew that peace was still fragile. After the crowd left, Lyra looked at Jack with tired eyes. She said she wished things could be easier, but that she was ready to fight for her people and for their future. That night, Jack and Lyra sat in the sanctuary again. Lyra held Jack's hand and said she wanted him to know everything about her. One day, Jack nodded, promising to be patient. He told her that he cared for her deeply and wanted to stand by her side. Lyra smiled and leaned her head on Jack's shoulder. The moment felt perfect and calm. But deep inside, Lyra knew that the time was coming when she could no longer hide her true form. She felt both scared and hopeful. She hoped Jack would still accept her when she showed him who she really was. As they sat quietly, the first stars of the night began to shine. Jack thought about the future and how much he wanted to protect Lyra and help bring peace between their worlds. He felt ready to face whatever came next, as long as they were together. That night, Jack and Lyra stayed in the quiet sanctuary. The air was still, and the soft glow of the plants made the place feel like a dream. Lyra looked at Jack with deep eyes. She took a breath and said it was time to show him who she really was. Jack felt nervous but did not move away. He trusted Lyra. She had told him she would reveal her true form when the time was right. Now, the moment had come. Slowly, Lyra's skin began to change. It glowed softly, shifting from the pale tone. He had always seen the colors that moved like light on water. Her hair floated around her head as if underwater. Her eyes shone brighter, and her body seemed to grow taller and more elegant. Jack watched, amazed. She was beautiful in a way he had never seen before. She was no longer just the princess he had met, but a living symbol of Eloria's deep power and mystery. Lyra's voice was calm as she spoke. She told Jack that her true form was a sign of her people's ancient magic and strength. She said that she had hidden this side to protect herself and those she loved. But with Jack, she wanted to be honest and open. Jack reached out and held her hand. He told her she was still the same person he cared for. Her real form did not change the way he felt. Instead, it made him admire her even more. He knew it took courage to show him this. Lyra smiled with relief. She said she had feared he might be afraid or run away. Jack shook his head and said he wanted to stay, no matter what. They sat together, hands joined, under the stars. Over the next days, Jack learned more about what Lyra's true form meant. It gave her abilities beyond what humans could do. She could sense the feelings of the forests and animals. She moved with great speed and strength. She could heal small wounds and calm troubled hearts, but Lyra also explained the burden of her form. It made her different from others, and some people feared or misunderstood her. She said that by revealing herself to Jack, she hoped to build trust between their peoples. Jack wanted to help her with this mission. He began to tell others about the princess's true nature, carefully and with respect. Some Elorians listened and were moved. Some humans were surprised but learned to respect the princess more deeply. Together, Jack and Lyra worked to bring their worlds closer. They faced many challenges, but their bond grew stronger each day. They knew the future was uncertain, but they believed that with honesty and love, peace could last. One evening, as the sun set over Eloria, Jack and Lyra stood on a hill looking at the horizon. Lyra's true form shimmered in the fading light. Jack felt proud to stand by her side. They knew their story was only beginning, and whatever came next, they would face it together. The days after Lyra revealed her true form were full of change. Jack and Lyra worked hard to help people understand each other better. They spoke at meetings, visited towns, and shared stories of hope. Some people listened and began to trust. Others still held fear in their hearts. Jack knew it would take time, but he believed in their cause. One morning, news came that a group of rebels planned to attack the palace. They wanted to stop the peace between humans and Elorians. Jack and Lyra prepared quickly. The palace guards stood ready, and people were told to stay safe inside the walls. When the rebels arrived, the battle was fierce but brief. Jack helped to protect Lyra in the palace. He fought bravely beside the guards. Lyra used her powers to shield the people and calm the attackers. Slowly the fighting stopped. The rebels were captured and taken away. After the attack, many people saw how strong Jack and Lyra were together. Their courage gave hope to the people. The king thanked Jack for his bravery and asked him to stay on Aloria as a trusted advisor. Jack accepted, knowing this was where he belonged. In the weeks that followed, peace grew stronger. Jack and Lyra worked to heal old wounds and build new friendships. They visited villages, helped with problems, and showed that humans and Alorians could live together in harmony. One evening, as the stars shone bright, Jack and Lyra stood on the palace balcony. They looked out at the world they wanted to protect. Jack took Lyra's hand and said he was ready to share his life with her. Lyra smiled, her eyes shining like the stars. She said she wanted the same. Together, they promised to face the future, no matter what challenges might come. Their story became a symbol of hope for two worlds. It showed that love and trust could build bridges where there was once fear and doubt. Jack chose to stay on Aloria, with Lyra beginning a new chapter of peace and friendship. Together, they worked to make their worlds better, proving that sometimes the greatest power comes from opening one's true self to another.